Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. Please visit our website, cscatlanta.org, for a complete list of live and recorded events. We invite you to sign up for our newsletter to stay connected to all future programs.
Hi, this is Chef Kip, and we are doing a series on 15-minute meals, and today we are going to make Emerald City salad. So, the Emerald City salad comes from Seattle, which is people call the Emerald City. I went to graduate school in Seattle, and there is a store there. It's kind of similar to Whole Foods called PCC, and they sold this salad in their deli. But I learned to make this salad in the teaching kitchen at my graduate school, and I just love how versatile and flexible it is. I love how it's adapted to keep well in your refrigerator, because they would make it in big batches and sell it out of the deli counter, so it really works for meal planning or planning ahead. The version that we've got today is all plant-based, but if you wanted to turn up the volume on this with some protein, you could always throw in chickpeas, you could always throw in cubed tofu, you could throw in chicken, you could throw in chopped boiled egg. So many different directions you could go if you want this to be a higher protein complete meal. So, how it starts is with a cooked grain. Wild rice is what they used at PCC, and I always just love the interesting flavor of wild rice. It's not a thing I cook a ton. Cooking wild rice is just like cooking regular rice. It just takes a little longer. So you're going to put it in the pot with salted water. You're going to bring it to a boil. You're going to turn it down to a simmer, cover, and wait until all that liquid is absorbed. You want, wild rice can be a little chewy. You want it to sort of break a little bit until you see some of the sort of white starchy inside, and that tells you that it's nice and chewy and tender. So first thing we're going to do, I went ahead and pre-chopped most of my kale and chard. You can use any substantial leafy green for this. It could be collards, it could be different varieties of kale. I happen to use curly kale today, again, honoring what they did at PCC, but dinosaur kale would be great. I wanted to talk a little bit about stems. So I saved back a couple of leaves of chard because I stripped the stems off of the kale. And for a salad like this, I don't save the kale stems because they are pretty tough. But the chard stems are much more tender than kale stems. So what I've done with it, I'm going to show you, is I've just separated the stem from the leaf. Oops, this one's flipped around. Now, if I was cooking the kale, I'll save the stems and I'll chop them up in exactly the same way because they are edible, but you just want to get them a little bit smaller and easier to deal with. So first I'm going to stack up these leaves a little bit and give them a bit of a chop, get them out of the way. And then we're going to throw these in with the rest of our greens over here. All right, so I've got this stem, and it's kind of long and curly and unwieldy, and it's different sizes. So the first thing I usually do is cut it into halves or thirds, so I've now got a more manageable piece. And then this thick stem, because I want a really sort of tender bite, I'm going to cut it 2 or 3 times long ways, so I have a nice thin piece that's sort of similar sizes to these others, right? And then from there, it's just a real fine little mince, and now you've got something that isn't so tough and fibrous. And honestly, part of the beauty of eating and cooking with Swiss chard is to enjoy this beautiful red color on there. So it just adds a little bit more vibrant color. Yeah, it's our chard stems. Oh, and we're going to come back to that in a minute. Turn you off. All right, so the other thing that I like about this salad is sometimes with salads with dark leafy greens, if you're not accustomed to eating a kale salad, eating a kale salad that's, in my opinion, eating a kale salad that's just lightly dressed the same way as a lettuce salad is a lot of chewing, right? It's really kind of intense and can be sometimes overwhelming. So if I'm making a kale salad, I like to either massage it a little bit, or the technique here is that we're gonna take this freshly cooked hot rice and we're gonna dump it right on top of all of our greens and let it hang out for a minute. And that's going to, it's not really gonna fully cook the grains, it's just gonna tell them to chill out a little bit and relax. Calm down. You're doing too much. Yeah, so we'll just get that, and that's just gonna steam a little bit underneath there while we move on to our other stuff. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead. The other thing we've got is fennel, and I think fennel is sometimes overwhelming or can be unfamiliar to folks. So I saved half of a bulb of fennel and didn't prep it up and chop it last night. So when you cut it in half, it looks like this. You can see on the inside, there's this sort of fibrous root kind of area that sort of holds all these layers intact. And that's a little too tough to eat. So we're gonna work around that guy. Usually what I'll do is cut off these stems. Now, these hard stems are possible to eat, but you'd really wanna mince them up really fine. These little frondy pieces, lovely to eat. Light, easy, really mild flavor. So sometimes I'll throw those in there. All right, so now I got my fennel bulb. Usually I'm gonna give it a quarter so I can see a little bit more clearly where that, that tough fibrous part is, and then I'm gonna give it a diagonal cut to go out. And then from there, sometimes you might want slices, sometimes you might want dices. It's, whatever you like. One of the things I love about this salad is the contrast of flavors and the contrast of textures. You've got this chewiness from the rice. You've got all the crunch from the fennel. Yeah, so we're gonna pile this on here, partially because I need that fennel bowl to build our vinaigrette. That's a lot. Hope y'all are hungry. Also, it saves well in the refrigerator for several days. So Lauren may be eating this for lunch for the rest of the week. I did, so this is a doubled version of this recipe. So this recipe makes a lot if you're just cooking for, yourself or one or two people. I would maybe even half and do, half bunches of kale and chard, half bell pepper, that sort of thing. All right, so now I have a nice bowl, and we are going to build our vinaigrette. So first thing I'm gonna do is a little bit of raw garlic goes a long way, but I do love garlic in a vinaigrette. So I'm just gonna use 2 cloves here. First thing I'm gonna do is smash that clove with the side of the knife so that my skin is nice and papery and comes off easily. All right, and then I'm gonna sprinkle a pinch of salt on this, because what I want when I put garlic in a vinaigrette is I want it to just fully let go of all of its fibrousness, and I'm gonna start giving it a mince because I really want it to fully incorporate. And you could get to the point where you chopped and chopped and chopped and chopped and chopped and minced it, but that would take a while. Adding the salt, if you remember, middle school biology maybe, osmosis is happening right here, so the liquid that's in that garlic is starting to come out. And then I'm gonna take the side of my knife and start to sort of smush it, right? And that's gonna get us closer to a paste. It's almost like I'm using the knife kind of like a palette knife. All right, so now nobody's going to get a big old chomp of a garlic piece in their vinaigrette. So we're just going to dump that right in there. All right, so from there, I realized when I was juicing these that a few seeds escaped in, so I'm going to try to filter those out as we go. But this is just lemon juice. Again, I doubled the recipe here. So this is 1 full cup of lemon juice. Let's see if I can, maybe I'll just pour it through my hand so I can save those seeds from getting in there. You know, the whole point of juicing it with the juicer was to not get seeds in it, and then I was like, why are there seeds in there? There we go. All right. So, little bit of salt, little bit of pepper. We're going to use mustard today as our emulsifier, but honestly, for a grain-based salad, an emulsifier is not essential. If you wanted to just go oil and vinegar, that would be fine. If you wanted to put all of this in a blender, that would be fine. We're going to get that mustard broken up a little bit. If you wanted to put all of these ingredients in a jar and shake it up, that would be fine. Then I'm just going to slowly. So when I'm making a grain-based salad, I tend to make my vinaigrettes a little bit more of a 50-50 ratio between the oil and the acid ingredient. So an acid ingredient could be lemon juice, lime juice, orange juice. It could be any kind of vinegar. And that's really the basis of a vinaigrette, is an acid, an oil, and something to make them play nicely together or emulsify. And because the grains, a couple of things going on here. I want the acid to work a little bit on those greens and break them down and have them relax a little bit. And then I also want, when you've got a grain in a salad, it's really, grains are very starchy and not the most strong flavor. And so they're gonna soak up this vinaigrette. So because of the volume I'm making in this bowl, I'm going to go ahead and add the vinaigrette. And then I'm going to see if I can get my hands in here without flinging it across the room. Because I want this all to relax a little bit. There we go, yeah. So, other, grain-based salads, I know I've handed out, there's a template. Is that on the website, Lauren? A template for a grain-based salad. So I've got sort of a ratio recipe of what to think about if you were wanting to make a grain-based salad, and you've got some odds and ends of how to think about it. But this follows a lot of those same principles. And so the point I'm making here is that a lot of these ingredients are interchangeable. All right. I'm going to take some of this volume out so that I can get these bell peppers in here, because I was planning for an army. Better to have too much than not enough, though, right? Okay.
I'm just coming up here with you so I don't have to type. On our website, under programs and under nutrition, that's where all of the old recipes are. Excuse me, for Chef Mike and Chef Kip. So, the in-person folks, you can take it home, but if you lose it, forget it, or, and that reminds me, online folks, I need to drop the recipes to you guys. I've totally forgot. So I'm glad I came up here. So all of the recipes are always online if you ever want to check. So under programs and under nutrition.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to now get our bell pepper in here that I just pre-chopped ahead of time. Everybody knows what a bell pepper looks like, so I decided to do a combo of of yellow and red, but whatever you like is great. Orange is fun too. Green, if you're into green, but green is very polarizing for people. It's a whole different beast. It's not as sweet. It's got a much more vegetal flavor. Oh yeah, okay, we are looking good. All right, so the last thing I want to do here is give it a taste, because we're always going to taste our food as we go, and we're always going to make adjustments. If we feel like we need them. So I like to make sure that everybody knows that sometimes you get it right the first time and it's okay if you don't. But I did. I left out some ingredient though. We're not quite done. Last little things to finish this off. Is some fresh parsley. Again, any other herbs. I think dill would be delicious in here. Basil might be okay, but it's going to get a little wilty. Chives would be great. Got some green onions here today. We're going to give them a quick rough chop. I think, yeah. So a couple of options, I mentioned that at the beginning. If you wanted to make this sort of a full, well-rounded meal, cubes of tofu, kidney beans, chickpeas, chicken, absolutely, chopped up boiled egg, all of those things are great strategies for turning this into a full meal. Oop, I left one little scallion there.
Question online. What can you use in place of fennel?
You could leave it out, or if you get your hands in the summertime on some really nice sweet Vidalia onions, that's going to have a similar texture. Other crunchy vegetables, again, when it comes to grain salads, if you want to just find another crunchy vegetable that you like, I mean, even cucumber could be fun in here. Or you can just leave it out. You can increase the amount of bell pepper if you like. All right, we're going to give this one final toss and let those things hang out a little bit. Yeah. All right. So yeah, at this point, you're going to be tasting and deciding if you want to add more salt or more pepper. You're going to be deciding if it feels acidic enough to you. Does it need more oil? Does it need more acid? Yeah, those are all things you're gonna think about and make adjustments to. I'm going to put a little bit of that into a bowl. How about this one? Oh, yeah. So fun and tasty. All right. So that is Emerald City salad. How'd I do on time?
You put your big one under your big mix of small fish. Keep going. Right in front of your big pot.
Beautiful.
Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. If you're interested in other live or recorded programs, please visit the online program tab of our website, cscatlanta.org, or follow us on Facebook. We'll be sharing additional information on upcoming programs.